Hi, this is Alex from Groovy Entertainment. Today we got another book on record to play for you. Today's book is Joseph and His Brothers from 1976. So let's get started.
The wonderful story of Joseph is in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, where everyone can read it. Long ago, Joseph lived in the land of Canaan. He had 11 brothers. Because his father, Jacob, loved Joseph more than he loved his other children, he made him a special coat, a coat of many colors. This made his brothers hate Joseph. Once Joseph dreamed he and his brothers were tying up sheaves of grain, and their sheaves bowed down to his. When he told them his dream, his brothers were furious. "We'll never bow down to you," they roared. Later, his brothers took their father's sheep to graze away from home. Jacob sent Joseph to see how they were getting along. When they saw Joseph coming, some of his brothers wanted to kill him. But Reuben, the oldest brother, said, "Don't kill him. Let's just throw him into a deep, dark pit." Reuben thought he'd pull Joseph out of the pit later. The rest agreed. So the minute he came near, they grabbed Joseph, tore off his special coat, his coat of many colors, and threw him into a deep, dark pit. And there they left him. Later, while Reuben was away, the other brothers drew Joseph out of the pit and sold him to a band of merchants who were going to Egypt on their camels. When Reuben returned to the pit, he found Joseph gone. He told his brothers, and they tore Joseph's coat and took it home to their father. "Look what we found," they said. "Could this be Joseph's?" "It is my son's coat," Jacob cried. "An evil beast must have eaten him." Meanwhile, the merchants sold Joseph to Potiphar, an officer in the Egyptian king's army. Potiphar soon realized that God was with Joseph and made all that he did to succeed. Because of this, Potiphar put him in charge of everything he owned. One time, Potiphar's wife asked Joseph to make love to her. "No," he said, "that would be wrong, because you are married to Potiphar." She was so angry that she told Potiphar lies about Joseph, and he threw Joseph into prison. But God was with him there. Pretty soon Joseph was put in charge of all the prisoners. Among them were 2 servants of Pharaoh, the Egyptian king. God helped Joseph explain some disturbing dreams these men had. Joseph said their dreams meant they would be taken out of prison in 3 days, and he was right. A long time afterward, Pharaoh dreamed strange dreams. In one, he saw 7 fat cows feeding in a field. Then 7 skinny cows gobbled them up. In the other dream, he saw 7 plump ears of corn growing on one stalk, but 7 scraggly ears ate them. None of Pharaoh's wise men could explain these dreams. Then one of those servants who had been taken out of prison told about Joseph explaining his dream. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph right away. Joseph said, "God is telling Pharaoh that plenty of food will grow in the next 7 years. Then nothing will grow for 7 years. Famine will be over all the land." "You must store away food when it is plentiful, Pharaoh," Joseph said. Everybody thought this was a good idea, and Pharaoh said, "Because God has showed you this, Joseph, I'll put you in charge of all Egypt." During the next 7 years, Joseph filled every storehouse in Egypt. Then when the famine came, the Egyptians had plenty to eat. In far-off Canaan, Joseph's father, Jacob, heard about the grain in Egypt. "Why are you standing around looking at each other?" he asked his sons. "Go down to Egypt and buy corn." All of you go, but Benjamin. When the brothers finally reached Egypt, Joseph knew them right away, but they didn't know him. After all, he was a grown man now. Maybe he wanted to see if they were sorry for the way they had treated him. Anyway, he didn't tell them who he was. He pretended he thought they were spies. "We're not spies," they cried. "We just came here to buy food. Our youngest brother, Benjamin, is home in Canaan with our father, and one of our brothers disappeared." Finally, Joseph said they could buy grain and go home. "All but Simeon," Joseph said. "He must stay here and in prison till I'm sure you're telling the truth. And don't ever come back without Benjamin." Imagine how Jacob felt when his sons came home without Simeon, and when they said they must take Benjamin if they returned to Egypt. "Never," Jacob said sadly. "Joseph and Simeon are gone. I can't stand losing Benjamin, too." But when their corn was eaten, Jacob said, "You'll have to go to Egypt again." Judah spoke quickly. "The man in charge of grain won't let us come without Benjamin." So at last, because everyone was so hungry, Jacob let Benjamin go. Joseph was delighted to see them. He invited them to dinner at his great, beautiful house and brought Simeon to join them. They still didn't know who Joseph was. Early the next morning, they started home with their grain. They hadn't gone far when Joseph's steward or servant overtook them. "My master's silver cup is missing," he cried. "Whoever has it must become my master's slave." He searched all their sacks, beginning with that of the oldest. When he came to Benjamin's sack, there was the silver cup. Now Joseph had told his steward to hide the silver cup in Benjamin's sack, and he had sent the steward after his brothers to test their honesty. The frightened brothers returned to Joseph's great, beautiful house. "Please don't keep Benjamin," Judah begged Joseph. "I'll stay and be your slave, but let him go home. Our father has lost one dear son, and it would kill him to lose Benjamin." When he saw how they loved Benjamin and their father, he sent everyone but his brothers out of the room. "Look at me," he said. "I'm Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt." Well, they were too surprised to speak. "Don't feel sorry about what you did to me long ago," Joseph said. He knew God had made him able to save all their lives. Then Joseph kissed his brothers, and there was nothing but brotherly love between them. When Pharaoh heard about Joseph's brothers, he was very pleased. "Send them home to get your father and their families," he told Joseph. "Tell them, the good of all the land of Egypt is yours." Joseph trusted God. He blessed his enemies. He didn't return evil for evil. He knew God made him able to help other people, even those who tried to hurt him. We can trust God, do good, and help others. We can be like Joseph. Your brother, Joseph, don't you suppose they had lots of questions about the... When the brothers finally found out that the man who had helped them was their long-lost brother, Joseph, don't you suppose they had lots of questions about the wonderful things that had happened and how he had become so important in Egypt? Here are 5 songs on the kind of things they might have talked about and the lessons we can learn from the story. Thinking back over those many years of how God had helped him, we might imagine Joseph feeling as this song tells us.
I wasn't afraid in the pit. I wasn't afraid protection. We live in his goodness, he loves us still. We're safe and we're happy when we obey his will. God is good, God is good.
The next song is about how the brothers could have felt when their father, Jacob, told them to stop standing around and get down to Egypt to buy food.
When things seem to be pretty troublesome, we won't stand around wondering what to do. First we will pray, that is the way to see how God will help us through. He will speak to us in our thoughts and give us some great ideas. They will guide us to work things out if we trust in God and refuse to doubt. There won't be complaining or feeling sad. Thoughts from God are beautiful and bright. Let's not delay, start right away to know the truth with all our might. Know that God created us to reflect him in every way. Then let's get right busy expressing good today.
Joseph was always loving and kind, even when people did things that weren't very nice. And God always took care of him. Here is a song about forgiveness.
If there is something we've thought or we've said that wasn't loving or kind, God's truth is with us to heal every wrong, for he is our only real mind. God's pure way of forgiving is to turn us to ways that are right. He leads us by his great light. If we feel someone has done something wrong, a thing not helpful or fair, it's time to love and to trust more in God and know that we're all in his care. There is power in forgiving. We can silence the things that seem wrong and prove God's love to be strong.
The Egyptians, including Potiphar and the keeper of the prison and Pharaoh himself, knew what a good man Joseph was, and they trusted and rewarded him. Can't you just picture Pharaoh sounding something like this?
I, the Pharaoh, place you, Joseph, in full charge of all the kingdom. You will have complete authority. This is my behest. I have seen that God is with you, for you honor and obey him. Those who love God in sincerity serve the people best. We should trust God's wisdom and his care, for you've shown he's with us everywhere.
Joseph knew God's goodness and love are for all his children, not just for Joseph. The last song gives us some very good thoughts about this.
give her of all that is good. He gives us our home and our health and our food. He gives of his wisdom, his peace, and his joy to every girl and boy. And to fathers and mothers, to uncles and aunts, and to sons and daughters, to grandmas and gramps, to in-laws and cousins, and it's understood, to strangers and to friends in the neighborhood, to nieces and nephews and all others, including sisters and brothers.
So that was Joseph and his brothers from 1976. If you like, subscribe, share, and comment. Have a groovy day. And our next record will be Noah Art.